after 7 days getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, driving all day, drinking all night, smoking their lungs out.
Today on That Car Show, precision driver and a Porsche brand ambassador, that Porsche girl, Lara Newton. We've got rallies, singers, French people being French, Italian cars being Italian. Oh, and Lindsey gets engaged. This is a fun one. Stay tuned.
Well, welcome back to this week's episode of That Car Show. I'm Lindsey, and I'm here with Ryan.
Hey.
And tonight we have my very good friend Lara Newton, whose Instagram is That Porsche Girl, joining us. Hi, Lara.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, good. Thanks so much for joining us. So I wanted to give a little intro about you. We met through Instagram, as all good things, these days. Lara's a precision driver. She has doubled for actresses including Julia Roberts, Mary Louise Parker, Jennifer Connelly, and Jennifer Coolidge, who is having a renaissance right now.
Yeah.
And Lara has driven in commercials for Ford, Ferrari, and Mercedes. And she's been a brand ambassador with Porsche for many years now. She has an amazing Instagram account, That Porsche Girl, where she's made a name for herself with her unique, engaging content celebrating Ryan's favorite marque, Porsche. Lara and I met through Instagram, like I said, and I think our friendship is emblematic of what the car world has meant, at least for my life, because we connected through cars, and the first time that we met, we talked for, I think, probably 5 hours, and we never actually even talked about cars.
Yeah.
Because, I think like Bassam and we've all said, like cars open the door, but then you immediately start to discover common life experiences. Yeah. I'm very lucky that over the last few years, Lara and her boyfriend Lee and their family have been amazing friends to me and my daughter. And at this point, we've been on too many adventures to count, all over, Southern California, multiple car weeks. And our most recent big adventure was Retromobile in Paris in February.
Yeah.
So it's true what they say, be careful who you meet on the internet. You might find yourself with a new best friend in Paris.
Yeah.
So welcome, Lara. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I just realized it's That Car Show. First time I'm like, oh, we are right in tune with each other. I love it.
Yeah, was that? I don't think I realized that until today either. I don't think it was
honestly
on purpose.
I thought it was The Car Show. I wasn't even thinking, and then you said That Car Show, and I was like, because I said the other day, you have the best name. And again, I'm like,
right. What is it again? Tell me again. Yeah.
It's amazing how many names are taken, right? As you know, right? Whether it's Instagram, whether it's car podcast. I mean, everyone's got a podcast, right? So, it's
at this point, yeah, I know.
Some of us have had 3.
Right? Yeah. It was a very interesting discussion coming up with the name. Yeah. And I think what was funny about this one too is that we all thought it was taken. We thought we had looked into it. Yeah. And somehow it made itself known again to us. And we went, wait a minute, we love that.
And the name is really everything. I mean, I was saying that to you because to get that name is really, I mean, it just encompasses everything too. Because I've even said to you, I wish I was That Car Girl instead of That Porsche Girl. And, and I've said that since the beginning because, it really limits you, but it also puts you in a situation where other people, they know of you as that one entity, but it also does stick. So I've thought about changing my name, and I keep going back to it, and just because also now everything's been built under that name. So any Googleable searches is that. So I just feel like I'm going to stick with it.
That's who you are. That's who we know you as.
We've got a ton of followers. So how'd this all start?
Something right, lady.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about your background, what you do, up to this point, and then how you got into Instagram. And were you always into cars?
Oh, well, always. I mean, I think I've said this on every podcast, so it's a little boring if anybody's seen any other ones. But I've just always been into cars since I was 12 years old. But even before that, I remember being 5 years old, and I think I've told this story as well. But I saw a giant raised truck, and I was like, that person looks so cool, and it's not my aesthetic at all. But
no.
At the time,
I don't think I've ever heard that part.
It stood out so much, and I was like, "Oh, it'd be so cool," maybe someone was making fun of me that day if my mom just drove up in a big raised truck, and then I got in with my 27 brothers. And my brother would never have defended me. He'd be like, "Get in, stupid." So I was kind of impressed by that from a neighbor of a friend of mine who had one. I was like, oh, I wish that
Like,
was
that's
mine.
what I need. Yeah.
That would do everyone would be so like impressed.
That would fix it.
And then at 12, I've always really what started was my mom used to hand the wheel to me when I was really little, like 5 and 6, I was
Nice.
shifting. And she'd go, okay, shift from first to second, okay, second to third. And she would be doing her makeup.
Oh,
And
is that? And what were you driving? Sorry to interrupt, but like, what were you driving at the
oh
time?
man,
What were
this
you
is going to
shifting in?
date me. The first one, oh well, you know what? This is really going to date me because it was three on the tree.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And then she had a Chevette, and
Oh, sure.
yeah, I
Nice.
don't know if I don't know if I was still yeah, I think that was still stick. And then yeah, it was for sure because I drove it around the block, and almost got in a car accident with it, but
That's neither here nor there at this
Yeah.
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
she used to
statute of
go.
limitations and all that
Right.
long past. So.
Imagine this is like her mirror, and she'd go,
Mm.
grab the wheel, and she would do her makeup.
Oh.
And so I just needed to grab the wheel, and she did it one time to a friend of mine. She's like, grab the wheel, and the girl was 16 and had a license, and she just grabbed the wheel like. And we just headed off the road, and my mom's like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" And she goes, "Why did you do that?" She's like, just grab the wheel. Like, what are you doing? And I was
Just
like,
handle it.
you can't just pass the wheel to anyone in the car.
It has to be a trained precision driver. Come on now. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
But then it kind of shifted because my mom had a friend, and I was 12 years old, and she was going to go over and have a glass of wine with her friend who just got a car, and she's like, come on over, I just bought this car. And she was a single woman, she didn't have a husband. I say this all the time, this is really the origin story of
Mm.
Porsche for me. And we went over there, and she had a brand new Porsche, and I was like, oh yeah, like
Sign
I'm
me up for
not
this.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can have one too. Because all the wives in our neighborhood had the minivans and the
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the the SUVs and stuff. And I was like, oh, she's an executive. She's like a man. Like this is really cool. And so she was just. And she wasn't, I always say this, it's terrible but I say it because she wasn't like this beautiful Barbie doll. She was like kind of very like, executive lady,
Mm.
It
and
was real.
just found her so, and just, it was like, I was just completely enthralled by it. And I was like, someday I'm going to own one too. And it
Nice.
really was like to the
That
point.
was your taproot. That was your
Yeah.
taproot
Yeah,
Porsche.
it really was. And the first time I drove one, I think I was 21. And I was so excited. And it was my boyfriend's car. He was a rich kid, and I was driving it everywhere. And I passed him twice on Beverly Boulevard. He was at a lunch. He's like, "You're really enjoying the car, huh?" And I was like, oh yeah, I'm really."
Yeah.
I
So
can get
I
used
was
to
like,
this.
"Yeah, you're going everywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right."
You're like,
But
that's
as a
correct.
kid who grew up with like Chevettes and minivans, I mean, that was like a spaceship. I remember that. We had Volkswagens, right? Like diesel Volkswagens. And then we had a
Yeah.
neighbor that had a 911 turbo, right?
Oh
It's just like
yeah.
that was
Like,
just
what is
mind
this?
blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah. Aspirational and
I had a neighbor that worked for DeLorean. He had a DeLorean,
oh
which
no
was
kidding.
yeah. And then like the
No.
whole scandal was coming out, and he had the DeLorean in the neighborhood. It was really funny, but
Wow. Wow.
yeah. So we like yeah. It was a
That's
thing.
pretty wild that you saw one being used in real life. Because I mean,
Yeah, like a
I
daily.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my reference for them is obviously Back to the Future, and then like as collector cars, but to see one
Right.
actually in real life is pretty unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. I don't think I had ever seen one before or after for a long time.
Talk about
No.
spaceship, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I was pretty young at that time, but I didn't really log it in, but I was always enthralled by cars, so I knew, my mom would be like, "How do you know what car that is?" And I'm like, like you just don't
You
know.
just,
You
yeah.
it's
just
just
don't.
a thing, isn't it? It's like built in, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
I mean, it
have it or
really
you don't.
is like, are there other hobbies where it's in our DNA like that? Because you think about, I mean, even my dad, where like he's the one that exposed me to the car hobby, like his parents were not into cars.
Yeah.
He has always been a car guy, like
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
always. And
Yeah.
so it's, you just never know, but I think you really are born a car person. And it just depends on when you put it together yourself and realize
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where your passion is.
I
And Lara,
always
did you grow up sorry, SoCal, or where'd you
yeah,
grow up?
yeah,
So,
in
okay,
Orange
so there were
County.
cars around, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we saw them. I mean, we definitely saw like a lot of Mercedes, a lot of,
yeah,
Porsches and stuff like that. But so I did get to see them. It wasn't like I was so enthralled with I really liked how they were fast, but I wasn't one, believe it or not, after the monster truck situation. Um,
which you're
I,
gonna have to check that box eventually, right?
I
Like,
mean,
it's
I'm
just to
glad
say you
I
did.
checked it early.
Okay.
But it was, it was just, it, we saw them all the time. Like we saw nice cars and stuff like that. But so I haven't ever been very obsessed with cars in that way of like when I see a car, like when
Mhm.
people are like really trying to impress me, like, wait till you see this collection, I'll go, I've seen it probably.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Well, it's like we talk about that. I mean, I think you and I are very aware of how lucky we are to get to see the stuff that we see in Southern California, in Orange County and Los Angeles, particularly just driving around. I mean, I've said before Car Week last year, I was at a stoplight and realized there was a Koenigsegg like at the other light, just sitting there. And I think what's funny is Lara and I laugh and we go, it would be really easy to get like bored almost
Yeah.
because you go like we're seeing, you go to Newport, if you don't see a Ferrari within 5 minutes, something's off in the
yeah.
universe.
I mean, I always have my phone kind of ready to catch,
Yes,
Mm.
because I'll be driving. I'll like, oh, there it is. I get
I
something. 'Cause people are
know.
like, how do you catch all these? I'm like, you have to be ready, because
Yeah, well, and like years of practice. And if you're
yeah.
surrounded by them, you get really good at it because it's like Derek Powell and I were laughing about it the other day. Like the rage that you feel as a car person when you try to catch a picture of
Yeah.
something and you miss it and you're just like, ah.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting though how like just the term exotic car has really fallen out of favor? Like when we were young, I mean, these were
Well, it meant
this was
something too. They
yes, yes,
weren't
it was really they
ubiquitous.
weren't commodity cars, right?
Yeah.
And the
Not
people that
that
bought them, I think in a lot of ways, they actually drove them. Whereas
yeah.
now it's like, it's the 10th car or the 20th car. And they're like, yeah, we need one of those. And like, nobody's ever going to drive
Yeah.
it. That's,
Yeah.
it's different now for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but we also like, even getting to see all these amazing things, I think the true car people, like we still appreciate it. We still get excited about it, even
Yeah.
if it's the 10th or 20th one we've seen, because we do understand like
We're
how special they
lunatics too. Like we go
are. Right.
to
Yeah.
brunch all the time and or drinks or whatever right over by my house and uh like any car that goes by we're both like, so yeah, I mean, so and we both
Yeah.
do it at the same time, and so two car people is really obnoxious.
Right. Yeah. Like
What's the best
it's a miracle if we finish the sentence, but
right?
yeah, we did like, especially because a lot of the cars you hear them coming, and so we're both at the
Yes,
window.
yes,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know it's something good.
yeah.
What have you seen recently that's really like off the charts?
Uh, oh wow.
Not to put you on the spot, but
I
Well,
was
you just got
recently.
back from Europe too, so
well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Talk about
mean,
that then. Yeah, that's
well, let's talk about that because I mean the cars that I saw it was funny because even in Paris there's a lot of Porsches and things
yeah.
like that. Um, but so, actually I went days and days without seeing them sometimes because I was staying up in different areas like Montmartre and like not just it wasn't more where people cruise around. If you go down
right,
to the eighth,
less
it's
car heavy.
yeah. So but yeah, I went to go to a rally called Tour Auto. It looks like Tour Auto, and it's Petro Auto, which looks like Peter Auto. Because
That's my new Instagram account.
I was like Peter Auto, and they're like, "Oh, Petro Auto," and I was like, yeah, "That's exactly it."
That's exactly what I said. Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
That's
and
funny.
that group owns many rallies
Okay.
and like I think even Le Mans Classic and all those different ones. It's under the umbrella
Wow.
of Pedroto. So and so I went to do media on the Tour Auto, and we chose that as opposed to driving it because it's very intense. It's a 7-day extravaganza. It's just from Paris down to the south of France. Either they end in Saint-Tropez or they end in Nice or they end in
Mm.
Monaco or whatever. And we ended in Nice. And it was, I mean, from the second it started to the end was just it was such a highlight. I mean, I can't even say enough about it because it was so intense, so everyone was so close knit. It was a
Mm,
lot of French people. So
mm.
if you don't speak French, it would be kind of awkward probably because
You'd
they're
spend a lot of time like, eh?
yeah, no. I mean, even me, I speak fluent French, but when you're with
Yeah.
people who are like, oh, they kind of like they talk really quick and they're under their breath, and I'm like, you need to be like facing me, so I'm reading your lips as well sometimes. But you get used to it. Then you're like, all right, I'm in the groove. Have a
Yeah.
glass of champagne. I'm like, I'm right there with you.
That'll do it. Yeah, yeah. So, what kind of cars were these? Like, is there a certain age group? Okay, so like pre 60 or
Know if they have a time period. There was like, I mean, there was such a mix. There was like old Ferraris and little Fiats and Mustang and
Lindsay just
I know. I'm
perked
like,
up. Yeah.
who?
oh yeah, and
What?
a friend of mine, JP Gadget, who is
Oh yeah.
he's a TV
He's a
guy
big
over there.
Mustang enthusiast.
Mm.
Yeah.
He and his wife were in this black and white half and half. They called it Cruella.
Oh,
Because
nice.
Love
like
it.
right down the middle of
That's
this
French, right?
Yeah.
yeah. And so that was really cool. And there's a couple of videos I have of him just blasting by us all in pit lane. And so every
Love
day
it.
is a different track, and there's a regularity group too. So the regularity people are all tooling around in the mountains, and people are just going balls to the wall at the races. So it is so intense. And even as media, when we were leaving, we'd be like, okay, we can get to breakfast at this time a little bit later because we were up like all night just talking. And it was a friend of mine. And we were just like up every single night, having so much fun. And then at the end, everyone comes back, everyone has a champagne. The cars all get disassembled by their teams.
Mm.
It's like proper racing, and
Yeah.
they don't pull back. So a lot of the guys are real race car drivers. Like you can't
Mm.
just do the race section if you think that you're good. You
Uh,
have to be a real driver.
You have to
And
have
I would have been in
qualification.
regularity. So we were like, no, we're doing
so
media.
that's the distinction. So, and you were in that group.
So
What
okay,
gives?
define.
Media, so I could be whatever
Okay.
I wanted, but I was obviously going to go to the track and watch the guys, and most of them were men. Sometimes their wives were driving with them, but
Mhm.
if they went on the track, they just would have one person in the car at each time.
So
Um,
define regularity, like for people that may not know what that means.
Well, they go around and they have they have timed sequences. They do this in the Mille Miglia as well, time sequences where you have to stay, going 17 miles an hour or kilometers an hour or whatever
Yeah.
for,
Mm.
5 minutes, and then you go to 60 kilometers, and then you go down to, and
Mm.
basically you want to be within a certain
Like
amount.
match it as
Most
closely
rallies
as you can.
Yeah, most rallies have regularity, and or it's usually like Mille Miglia, everyone's doing the same thing. So everyone's doing regularity on some courses, and then you have like one track day, um, and but this one was every single. So I thought, oh, this is the track day, and then I'm like, oh, there's another track day. Oh, there's another track
There's
day.
another, and like amazing tracks, I'm sure too, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, they're
because of
all
where
like
you are.
ones you probably hadn't heard of, because I hadn't heard of a lot of them.
Mm.
But they're just in the different locales that we would go to, and it was it was incredible. I can't say enough. And then you go into a castle and have dinner, and sometimes
As
it's a
one
walking
does.
dinner in a
Yeah.
museum. Yeah, and
Oh my
just
gosh.
like what and a friend of mine is actually I had done a rally called the Pro Rider GT Cruising, which is Jerry Bleinberg, who does Wheeler Dealers France. It's
Yeah.
his
Mm.
rally. I don't know if he's doing. I think he's pausing. He's doing them more in U.S. now. So, but I did it in France with him a couple of times, and I met Gregory Cohen. He's also the chef on for the Tour Auto, which he just everything was rolled out like, I mean, just top
Top
notch.
notch.
Yeah.
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 It's okay. We're friends.
Rallies have really taken off though recently. I mean,
Yeah.
there's the Colorado Grand here. There's the
Yeah.
California Muley. There's the Copper State, right? I mean,
Right.
go on and on and on. The Peterson, our friends at the Peterson Museum are doing some rallies
Yeah.
more and more
Well,
moving forward. It's such a great concept, right? Like it just
yeah.
works, right?
Well, and Lara was able to do like I mean, she just got back from a pretty epic European adventure because you did the Tour Auto.
Another
And
one.
but you did a second one with Richard Mille.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Oh.
a Rally to Princess, but I actually was going to do the same thing. I was going to do media on. It's also a Petrol Auto under the
Oh,
umbrella.
okay.
Yeah. And so they own a bunch of, or I don't know how, I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's under the
They're
umbrella
involved, right?
Petro Auto, Peter Auto for
Peter
the,
Otto. So we're gonna go with.
and, so we just went to the opening night and had the girls kicked them off. It was the first rally I ever wanted to do. So if they're listening, but it was the first
And they
rally.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, we know they are, obviously.
Yeah. It was the first rally that I wanted to do, and then I ended up doing the Milli Millia instead. This little thing called the Milli
Oh,
Millia, but
that's
it's
a
a
heck of a
girl,
substitution.
it's a girls' rally, and the girls dress up like each other. So there was girls that look like bees, then there was girls that are dressed up, just in gowns or whatever on that night anyway. And then they usually have like matching racing suits or that kind of thing. So it's
Oh,
cute.
that's so fun.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of Porsches at that too. So
Yeah.
I did a little story on my Instagram on that. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll probably do it next year. My friend and I. It
Nice.
just was too short a time to really get it together and do proper, um, just get the proper car and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it just ended up like we were so tired to the point where I was there for 7 weeks. We were so tired from the Toronto. That was the first week I was there that I mean, I thought I was like, I give. I was like, you guys won. Like, I am a late nighter, but you guys win. The last night we were drinking champagne for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, are we going to eat dinner? Like, you guys,
Like, I get it that you're French.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know my limits, and I'm like, I can hang with the boys, but this is like, let's go eat, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we all,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like it was 1,000 people. So, I mean, between
Wow. That's a
crew,
huge rally.
yeah, it was between crew. I mean, the cars, I think they had 200 and
That's
something,
huge.
where
Yeah.
the Milli Milli, when I did it was 440, but so
Wow.
that's even bigger.
Wow.
But
Right.
there was crew and there was, I mean, there was so much to it, so much more to it even than the Milli Millia. I would have to say, and I'm going out on a limb, and I love the people from Milli Millia, so if they're listening, I just hope they're not listening. I think this is the best rally that I've seen in the world.
Okay.
That you've gotten to see up close. Yeah.
I actually Mark Oyan from Porsche Canada is the new director of Pedroto. So he did both of those, and so we became friends. We've been following each other on Instagram for a while, and I was like, oh wait,
You're like, wait,
he's
yeah.
like, it was his first year as director, and so I mean it was just done so well. I cannot say enough about it. I mean, it was such a highlight of my trip,
Awesome.
and I will be doing it again.
Okay.
It
And
looked
probably do
amazing.
media
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is crazy. Like, and you don't want to miss the racing because it's next level.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
real race car drivers, so it's really fun.
Well, and so what was I remember, I mean, it was so fun, following along on your stories and posts and all that and living vicariously through that. There was one event, or it was one of the dinners, where at the end they were doing like a seated worm almost, or like mosh pit. Like, what was that?
That was the last night, and again, she's like my friend. She's like, her name is Manon, and she was like, Lara, no, this is not over. No, 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 no. No, so like all of a sudden I'm out because everybody smokes. Everybody smokes. And I was joking. I said, should I start smoking? I've never had the urge to smoke, but people like, don't do it. Like, this is my first rodeo. Like, listen, I had all French friends at one point when I was with a French guy, and I was like, I would be the only one holding the table when everyone went outside to smoke. I'm like, I'll just stay here, 12 of you. You guys go smoke. So I'm not
fine.
I love that smoking lives on like it does in France.
I mean, I want to say, you guys, seriously, your skin.
Yeah, ignore everything else, but like, can we start with the skin? Come on.
I mean, I know you're
Lungs.
young, but it's gonna catch up.
Right.
I'm a
That's amazing.
secondhand smoker, so I like it's already abused my skin enough from being around them. But what was I gonna say about that?
Well, there was the like mosh pity thing at the end.
Yeah, so I'm out in the smoking area getting secondhand smoke. If you want to hang out with anyone, you got to go to the smoking area.
Sometimes that's enough, right? The secondhand smoke, right? Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's even worse for the people around. But anyway, so somebody goes, oh, and I was like, what? It's like their last dance was playing, and I forget it was like, doop, 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 doop. It was like, okay, I gotta go. And then I ran out, and had my camera, and everyone's like, whoa, and they're doing whatever their chant is. I can't think of what the song is, but I've heard it before too. And then I get up on the stage because why wouldn't I? And I'm like, and everyone's like, ah, like. Because there was a couple people up on stage, and then they were going to crowd surf. I'm like, oh, I'm getting this.
Wow.
Like big guys,
Going to the wrong rallies.
Right.
I mean, this is after 7 days getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, driving all day, drinking all night, smoking their lungs out, I mean, it was the most incredible thing. And so I go out there, and they're all of a sudden the lights go on, the band stops. Then now there's more music, and everyone's like, whoa, and they start sitting in like a centipede and around. I'm like, what is going to happen now? This is
Can't even imagine, right?
And everyone just starts diving on top of the hands, and they're pushing them back like this, and I was dying. And then she's
that's
like,
living right there. I'm just saying, that's living.
And then
we're doing it wrong.
No, so and it's like midnight, and she's like, okay, so we're going to the club, and I was like,
all right. Laura, I was going to invite you onto the Colorado Grand, but I think you're going to find that way too tame.
There's no human centipede, there's no club. It ends
You're
at
in
10.
centipede or nothing.
I am like, I'm like, I enjoy a good I come alive at night.
Yeah.
That last night, I was like, I just walked. I was talking to some guy. I don't know. He was just. I have no. If he stood in front of me right now, I'd be like, never seen you before in my life. And we were at this club called. I wanted to say Hyde, but I think it's like, it's High.
Oh, close. The French Hyde.
That's right.
And it's got like a big devil's head in the middle of the dance floor. And then we go into this private section. I don't know. And everyone's there. It's a huge club. And then out comes a giant bottle of Moet. I was like, guys, we really should call it a night, right? And I had a flight the next morning.
They're like, absolutely not. Nope.
I'm like, all right, hand me a glass. And then, so I go, and I was talking to some guy. I have no idea. And I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, what again? And then I just go, I have to leave. I know, there's a limit. I don't like to get sloppy. And I was like, the time has come.
My coach is going to turn into a pumpkin. I must take my leave.
Yes, it was that bad. And I watched Mental, and she was so amazing. She could have been a nightmare. We're like, this went really well because we did not know much about each other. We had done one tour. We did the Pro Rider GT cruising together.
Right.
And she was such a doll. I just loved her. She's younger than me, and it could have gone two ways. I could have been like, oh, this one, she's a mess, And me too. She wasn't sure. She's like, this could be, we're just going with our feelings,
Yeah.
Well, it's what they say. You got to travel with people to find out if you really are in sync and learn about each other.
I mean, we're like sisters now. Like we just fell in love. We're like, you are just so easy to travel with. We were both on the same page. It was so cool. And then I walked up to her. I go, you can stay because I'm talking very sedate. But I have to go, and I'm never the one that has to go. And she's like, "Oh, no!" And she's 14 pounds. She probably had 2,000 glasses of champagne.
She only eats champagne. That's
right. No, she eats. That's what's more annoying. And she's like, she's like, oh, okay. And I go, you can say. And she goes, no, I come with you. She's the sweetest. And she's like, we go back to the hotel, and there was a vending machine with a charcuterie board. I was like,
again, we're doing it all wrong. Where are the charcuterie board vending machines?
No Skittles for you.
For you. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I was like, you're incredible. And she's like just chowing down on this charcuterie board. And I was like, who are you?
You're like, yes, more of that, please. Come on. That's amazing.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Please,
I I got to meet her when we were at Retromobile, and
Mm.
she was
A
just
doll.
delightful. Yeah.
She's delightful. I mean, she's just the kindest person. She has such a good heart, and she knows everyone. So I was introduced to everyone. I mean, to
That's
the point where
amazing.
I'm like, I will forget your name.
Like, my sincerest apologies. Yes. But so,
Lindsay is my, you explain.
so she likes to call me her inner ear because I'm like the, politicians have like
Encyclopedia.
a body woman, and I'm Lara's body woman. Like,
Yeah.
I lead, and I'm like, okay, we're approaching Mr. and Mrs. So and so, and we met them at Car Week last year, and they have the pre-war Bugatti.
Yeah. And
But
their children aspire to be a dentist and a scientist.
Right.
The mother does a wonderful sourdough. You know, like she knows
That's
everything
amazing.
about the family. I'm like,
Yeah,
"You a stalker?"
like, what? I think my favorite example of that though was when my daughter and I were on the plane on the way into Rensport,
Mm.
and yeah, and you mentioned Jerry Bleinberg. He was between the two of you. You facilitated us going because Jerry had the tickets, and you
Oh, that's
connected
right.
us,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was amazing. I know, and I really want to do one of his rallies before too long. But so we were on the plane. We weren't even there yet. Lara was in Monterey already at an event, and I get a text from her in the air. Hey, who were
Who's
those people that we met at Quail last year?
She's
Well,
like, "Oh, Janie and Bob? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. The ones that had the da da da." And I'm like, they were wearing yellow pants, correct?
yeah,
Yes. Okay. I'm like, what is happening?
that's a special kind of mind, Lindsey Jesh.
yeah.
That's
It's like
What are they?
she is an encyclopedia, and I forget the second. And they say it's a selfish thing. I really try. I mean, I'm like,
I
what
can't.
happened? Did I
The
unlock
intent
her?
is there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, I know. Will Arnett was talking about it on Smartlist the other day because he has, like, I have a good memory and I can track it back. I'll go like, okay, well, it was before this, it was after this, so that means it was October of 1988 at 2 in the afternoon. And he was doing that on Smartlist, and I went, that's the first person I've heard that does that outside of me. And then they mentioned it on some show too, where I
What
was
do we
I
like,
have
call that?
memories. I do memories, but I names, they just
Yeah,
like
names
if
are.
it's a weird name. I just met somebody on the plane, and his name was
and it had a unique name.
Teddy.
Well, that's cute.
Probably
What is
Freddie.
it? Penny?
It was Teddy, I think.
Oh, Teddy.
I said,
Teddy
I
like
was
the
like,
bear.
it's a
Yeah,
weird name. And his
yeah.
wife was something that rhymed with Teddy.
Veronica.
Teddy. I forgot. But her name wasn't weird. His name was weird. So I was like,
Yeah.
So
Teddy.
it sticks. You
Yeah.
got to have a unique name.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, but so in between these two rallies, you got to do something that I am incredibly interested to
Oh,
hear about. You got to drive on the Autobahn.
yes.
So,
And
okay,
actually,
tell us all about that.
and this is where my brain is so stupid too. So I went to go to Porsche Centrum Gelderland,
Mm.
which I'm sure you've heard of, or if you haven't,
Yeah.
you you should look them
Right.
up.
So tell us all about that too.
Well,
That's
actually,
Mark
and
Wags.
Mark Wague, yeah, Mark Wague is he's become a good friend of mine just through seeing each other. He's everywhere. If there's an ice race, he's there with his
What's
five
that like?
Oh, okay.
and but he when I was going to do the Mille Miglia in 2022, I was speaking with Porsche, and this guy was going to be heading to Stuttgart, and he said, "I'll get you a car," because we needed a car. My sponsor was Vredestein Tires at the time, and they said, "Let's get a car over in Europe, and that way we don't have to transport it or do anything, save a little cash."
Right.
And we'll just get one over there. And so I was waiting for that. This guy was going to Stuttgart and going to contact me, and I was like, I'm not waiting because I really had very little time, because we had to have it in like several months before to get it approved and all that. And even though we were in the sponsor, like it has to be approved and FIVA certified and all these different things.
Yeah.
So that guy went to Stuttgart, and lo and behold, Porsche was unable to get me a car.
Oh,
But during that time, I put it
Oh,
out
the
on
irony.
Instagram. They're like, we just can't possibly get you one. So no shade on Porsche, but they
never.
probably could. I think they have. I think they have a couple in their back pocket.
They're around.
So they're like, a girl. No, just kidding.
This will not do.
But this guy really went to bat for me from Porsche USA, and I was really pleased with that. But at the same time, it was like, what? And they didn't know what I was doing. So I was what was I
Where
talking
you
about?
got to know
Oh,
Mark.
so I put it out on my Instagram and I got 7 cars offered to me, which
Oh,
was amazing.
fantastic.
I was like, yes. And Mark was one of them. He offered a couple of like 550 spiders and something else. And
Oh,
then
That's awesome.
yeah. And I was thinking, I'm like, I'm already freaking out about doing the Milli Milia. You know, I want to be a female driver. I wanted to do it with another female. I wanted to be an all-female team, which is weird. There's a girl named Lara, Lara, who she has an all-female team, which is interesting that there's another Lara. So,
That's really funny.
um,
We
it
need to
was,
do the Lara Squared female team.
yeah, we should do Lara Squared, but she crashed one year. So I'm like,
uh-oh. Well,
Oh,
forget her.
the other Lara crashes one time.
so Lara and Lindsay female team. There we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Lindsay
I
doesn't crash.
Yeah, that's the knock knock. I'm like, I
Right.
don't crash. I've never had a crash, and I never plan to have one. I've been
Nope.
hit, but
Exactly.
I've never had a crash. That was my fault. So so we were going to do that, and then Mark reached out, and I was like, "Oh, I already have a 356, but thank you so much." And he, you know, we just talked a little bit, you know, and we just became friends. And so he invited me up to Porsche Centrum Gelderland, and he says, "I have some things we're gonna do for you." You know, like he's like, I'm getting you a driver that's gonna bring you on the Autobahn." And immediately I thought Nürburgring. You know,
Right.
like my brain just already skipped a beat to like, oh no, I'm
Like,
not gonna
oh,
do well there.
well, and so Porsche Centrum Gelderland, it's a Porsche dealer, but it also has a Porsche Classic Center. Is that correct?
Mm.
And Mark
Yeah.
has created the whole thing.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, he is like Porsche adjacent. Like if there's God and it's Porsche, Jesus is at the right hand. That's Mark Legg.
And God is Porsche. I'm just saying. So.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because on the Toronto, there was a friend of mine, Alex, who his car after a couple of days caught on fire, like the second day or something, and it was
Oh no.
just finished.
Mm.
So
Oh.
it was a beautiful black 356, and
Ooh.
it caught on fire. They put it out. They were really quick to get it out, but paint was bubbling, you know, all that stuff. And he
Yeah.
had to send it to Porsche. He sent it to Porsche. And he was on the phone with Porsche, and he's like, "I'm on the phone with Porsche," and da, da, da. And I'm like, "Oh, good for you. You know, like that's great." And he was on the phone to Porsche Centrum Gelderland. Like so many people think that Mark, because he truly loves all things Porsche.
Yeah.
And he has other cars as well, and he's like a VW guy and Audi guy as well.
Oh wow.
And he is like, you have a problem, I've got it. Like he is one-stop shopping. When you go there, um he's got insurance for you. He does the PPF. He owns the detailing service. He owns everything. He owns a whole block
Mm.
in his area. And
He's got
he's like
everything
a
you could
Harley
need.
Davidson he just bought across the way to make
Really?
up. Yeah. It's a Harley Davidson shop. Like and his place is so impressive. Like it left me speechless. And so
Mm.
if anyone has the chance to go, and he does, I want to say, I'm going to say this wrong, but I want to say 300 events a year or something, or
Wow.
might be like 260 or something
Whoa.
like that. He does so many events, and he just brings people in, and if you need something, he's got it. He's got every allocation. I mean,
Mark's the guy
every
to go to. Well, and it's in the Netherlands.
in the Netherlands,
Okay.
yeah. And so I just flew up there, and he rolled it out, and just, you know, every night there was like different team members with us at dinner, and you know, I made really good friends with one of the girls, and like he always had a girl there for me, so I thought that was really like accommodating as well, just because you know.
Right.
He was just he won me over completely, like, because, you know, we even said, he goes, "Well, we'll see how it goes, right?"
Yeah. I think that's the theme. We all say that to each other. We're like, let's go on this trip. And then there's a little side eye of like, we'll see how this goes.
No, yeah, I mean,
It's
and
like we hadn't traveled
he
together
felt the
before
same. He's
February.
like, "Is she going to be a nightmare?" You know, because this was a job. Like he
Yeah.
basically hired me to come up and see it and expose it and show it and do it all, you know, and he doesn't need my help because he is, I mean, it is just incredible. Like every car is just better than the next. And he has the classic center and just every inch of it. He does wheels. He does
Oh my
everything.
gosh.
And then there's a museum. So they're actually doing a separate museum in that whole complex. He's just
Mm.
kind of buying up buildings as they
It
go.
makes a mean burger too, I've heard.
Yeah. pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Then I'm sitting at lunch, and I'm just talking about, Porsche or whatever, and I'm with the former chairman of the board of Porsche, and then he's former CEO of Audi, and we just were chatting, and I'm like, thank you for not telling me, because I like to meet people that way, where you're just following,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shut up, listen to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
And
like,
Real
and
talk.
if I had any idea who you were,
Yeah.
yeah.
just the coolest, yeah. And this was just sitting in the dealership. So there was one guy that
Yeah.
was buying a car, and there was one other guy, and and then and I'm just sitting down to a sandwich, and just kind of just shooting the shit. And it was like everything was just, I can't say enough about it. Like, I really, this trip was so epic. I really had such a great time. It's
Well, it was like one amazing experience after
Yeah.
another. I
Yeah.
mean, just
Yeah.
for many weeks in a row, which is pretty amazing.
yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like Mark's place is really a destination. Like you would not be disappointed if you made that a destination on a trip.
No, absolutely. And also, if you buy a car there, the drive, well, he set me up with the owner of the drivers that he sends people out. If you buy like a brand new 911, he gives you with the car. He's like, I want you to go out with them, because they'll teach you how to really drive the car. And I've driven a million, even 911 GTSs and stuff like that. So I went out in a convertible GTS, and we he's like, took me around, and he was having me brake with my hands up and just showing how well the car handled, and then pushed me to, everyone's like, you're supposed to go faster than that. But I got to 153 miles an hour, which was really fast for me.
Yeah.
There was a lot of traffic. Like, we were dealing, even he went out to show me some stuff on the Autobahn. And he's like, I'm just going to pull off, because he didn't want to run out of Autobahn for me to get up to my speed.
Right.
Um, and I just wanted to get over 150, and I did. So.
Nice. And that
Yeah.
was a personal record for you, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I just blipped it, but I mean, I
You
sustained. I
got
was
there.
really sustaining like 135, 140, like over and over and over, and then I got up to 153, and I was like, I want more, and he's like, we're running out of Autobahn, so, and then you go back in there, and you're like, okay, we're going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah. It feels like you're crawling. Well, so okay, so what did it feel like braking without touching the wheel? Like talk a little bit about that.
Well, the guy was so good. He just really gets you there, So we drove around, and he'd be like, "Okay, he like, when we're driving on the Autobahn, I'm over 100 miles an hour. He's like, I'm gonna pull you into this lane, and then I want you to hard brake when we don't have people behind us."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But
"Okay."
he took the wheel.
To have anyone grab the
Yeah.
wheel
Yeah.
while you're going over 100,
Yeah.
I was really going like 120. I was sustaining 120 for a long time. He would pull it not hard, but
Yeah.
into the next lane. He's like, we're going to do a lane change. How did that
I'm
feel?
flashing back to that Chevette of yore.
She's been training for this her whole life. She just didn't know it.
I'm like, do I need to do my makeup right now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you do.
What are you trying to tell me? Is there something on
Yeah.
I got something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. So he pulled it over into the next lane, and I was like, okay, it feels like nothing. He goes, no, hard brake. I mean, hard brake. Not. He's like, no, that's not hard braking. He's like, slam it. And I'm sorry, when you're going over 100, you're just like, well, I'm going to ease it on, and then I'm going to, because
Right.
road, and I just slammed it on, and he's like, now what'd you feel? I go, not much. I mean, it is such a controlled car. It's the 2025 GTS. It drives itself. Like, you get in it, especially when you get in new cars, I always feel like, just don't mess up, Lara. And, in Amsterdam, the roads are like really narrow. There's bikes everywhere. Grandpa's walking his dog. I'm like, okay. And
Well, you get to flee the country when all is done. Like, so you've got that, but yeah, you still don't want to hit anyone.
Magnus can crash a car, but I can't. If somebody crashes the car and it's a girl, we're screwed.
None of the girls are allowed to crash. So what is the road itself like? Tell us about that. The Autobahn.
Just a highway.
Yeah.
Uneventful. But
the legend is not earned. No.
He was a really wealth of information, and it was just a really, really cool experience. And his wife was on the side of the road taking pictures when we were going around.
Nice.
And yeah, it was, and the team at Porsche Center Gelderland also followed us for a minute, but then like we kind of lost him, and because he's like, all right, now we're on it. Yeah. So he really taught you safety more than anything.
Mm,
Somebody was like,
mm.
you know, you shouldn't be on the Autobahn. I'm like, first of all, question the person that has trained probably better than most of the people.
Right. Like, I'm with a professional.
There
Let's.
was like, you might want to Google her. But so, but also I was with an amazing driver that has trained everyone, and it was interesting because he's a little bit older. Like not older, like he's not old, but he doesn't have readers. You know, after 40, everyone gets the readers out.
Yeah, be
He's like, I don't
careful.
need
Yeah.
them, and I'm like, I think it's because of, and I thought this was really interesting because he's always looking ahead,
Mm.
and short distances
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And it really does exercise your eyes. I said, I bet you that's what it is because we were discussing that. But because I'm like, it's so weird that you don't need any. He's like, no, I see perfectly. I don't understand.
Wow.
But yeah,
Yeah, because you think about the amount of time that he spends looking way in the distance compared to
Yeah.
the rest of us is
depth
a lot.
perception and yeah. So it was. I mean, again, like I was like, are you kidding me? It felt bad getting paid, to be honest.
Well, that's when
I
you
mean,
know
that always
you're winning in life, Laura.
Yeah.
That's that's
It was cool. I mean, they really, but they, and I'm sorry, I'm a talker, and they're gonna get their money's worth because I was wildly impressed with Porsche
yeah,
Center Gelderland.
yeah, yeah,
I see a lot, and
yeah.
even like I mean, he had every Holland police car, and they let me
Oh,
drive a police
really? Oh,
car.
that's
Yeah.
cool. That's
And
super
I
cool.
did a police car and did a pullover, kind of joking around with the police car thing going around, and they
Again, you get to flee the country when all is said and
yeah,
done. Yeah,
yeah.
it's,
And then I had a GT3 RS that had
yeah.
the little flowers all over it. They call it something blau. Oh, everyone's yelling
Mm,
it up to the screen, but it's the blue and white flowers, and it was all like a wrap on
oh,
the
the like
okay.
Delft pottery
Delft.
Oh,
almost.
yeah,
Delft.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful, right? I know. We're gonna
Yeah.
demonstrate the inner ear right now.
Yeah,
The
By the
pottery you were
way, I
birthing is.
I have a 99 1.2 GT3 in my driveway right now. It's my buddy Evans. He shipped it up from Florida. That thing
Ah,
makes my GT4 look like a Miata.
yeah,
Like you forget how that's heavy duty.
yeah,
like
That's
the
heavy
size.
duty.
yeah. I mean, and yeah, and I'm on these little roads. I'm like, and you don't know what the rules are. You're like, wait, do we stop here? We don't, we just kind of ease through. What are we
What does that
doing?
sign mean?
That's like driving in Italy where you come
Mm,
to a stop sign or a stoplight and everybody just dives for space and you're like, wait, there's no rules? This is
Yeah. Well,
amazing.
and the Mille Miglia, I came back from the Mille Miglia, and when I was driving after that, I was in Sicily. I went down to Sicily with my friend, and I was driving, and the light turned red, and I stopped, just to like check, and then I was gonna go because in the Mille Miglia, they're like, go, bye, bye, bye.
yeah, yeah.
And so I'm like, oh gosh, I was gonna go through the red light, because you get used to that for four
Like,
days. You're going through every red light, you're going through construction zones, you're doing whatever you want. And then they give you tickets. You're like, the policeman was telling me to buy, you're gonna give me, yeah.
that's your response to the ticket. I was told by the officer.
Yes.
The official quote was five by
It's
five.
$40. Yeah. We got 8 tickets. Lee was speeding
Really?
over. Well, I don't know how many our car got because they paid him all.
Okay.
But Lee got 8 and they paid those 2. But
Wow.
because he was just blazing everywhere, just not realizing. I mean, it is very regulated in France. It's very
Yeah.
regulated.
Okay.
I thought it was just Switzerland because I got a car from them in 1922. 2022, and they gave me a GTS, and you have to go 50, then 80, then 110, then 80, and then 50, and it's like I'm gonna go off
Mm,
the road watching my
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
speedometer. It's
Yeah.
the craziest because we don't have those parameters yet. I think we're gonna.
No, God bless the USA. Huh?
Right?
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's
The one good thing.
none of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Or
know.
very little of that, I should say. But
That's so funny.
well, where do you? So, all right. So you do live you're a California
Yeah, I live in Newport Beach.
person. Yeah. Where do you like to drive in the States?
What do I
Where
like
do
to
you like
drive?
to drive in the States? Like, where are your go-tos? Like,
Well,
where?
I live on PCH,
Okay.
basically, right next to PCH, and so I'm always on there, and it's just beautiful. Like you,
Yeah.
you have such a variety going through
Yeah.
Laguna. It's beautiful, but it's not really a great driving area. So obviously, going up and doing the canyons and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
is fun. But I mean, I've always been even more than just really wanted to rip around. the car has always been a sanctuary for me.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
when I was mad at my boyfriend, like in high
Mm-hmm.
school, I would blast the music and I would go driving as fast as I could. I used to be very fast as a kid. I thought I was going to be a race car driver. I just didn't have a rich dad or somebody was going to pay for that thing.
Yeah.
But and my mom's car wasn't going to cut it. But I always looked to it as freedom, just getting
Yeah.
out and doing my own thing. And so I just really enjoy cruising.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's I really just and then like we have the 930 turbo and it's a lot of car to you it, it's funny. Bassam did a story on
Mm.
way back on like all the turbos. They went out to Willow and did it, and he was saying the 930 was just a whole other. It's just
Like a
you
different
also
beast.
know it's called the Widowmaker, so you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a little more respect. But I'm more about like kind of boosting it and then just kind of coming back and then boosting. Like so. I'm just like I enjoy the speed. I enjoy feeling the power. I enjoy all that, but I really like to just cruise and just enjoy the view and even like going through other countries. It was kind of such a fast pace and
Yeah.
it gets faster each day. Like when you do the Million,
Yeah.
you go as hard as you can. Like by the fourth day, you're like, let's do this.
Yeah, you're not seeing Italy, but I think that's a really good description of the car as the sanctuary, and I think so many of us can relate to that. I
Mm.
mean, it's like four-wheel therapy almost for a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
us, and you kind of
You're in
that's a
your own
safe space.
zone. Yeah. When
Yeah.
I was when I was working in LA, like every day, all day, like I had like clients all over. I was used to fit clothing for clothing companies.
Mm.
And so I would, do like 2 and 3,000 miles a month. And people are like, how do you do it? And trust me, I didn't like the traffic, but I'm in my own zone. I'm listening to my shows, my podcasts, my music, getting all my calls out. I'm like, I'm not at work in a
Yeah.
cubicle. This is
Right.
part of my work. I'm usually being paid for the next job because it's a 2-hour minimum. So I'm moving from one to
Mm.
the next to the next. And I was just like, I did it for years and years and years, and it's been not a problem. Obviously I don't like to be stuck in traffic where I'm going to be late, but, um, you
Yeah,
know,
but like getting to be behind the wheel it's not a chore for you. Like I
Yeah.
think
mm,
which a lot of us can relate to. It's a treat.
Are
yeah.
you a Good Vibes regular by chance?
No, and you know what?
No?
It's funny because the cars I want to take up there, I just don't want to beat the crap out of them, honestly. Like
Mm.
there's like, for one, there's a lot of terrible drivers that go up there.
It's
I mean, and there's a lot of great drivers that go
hmm
up there,
hmm
but like you're really on like a uncontrolled road.
hmm
I think the track is safer than
Mm.
Angeles
Mm.
Crest.
It's
And
more
I mean, as we've
regulated.
seen the crashes over the years, I mean,
Yeah.
but you come around I know that Bassam's hit a deer, Johnny's hit a
Mm.
deer.
Yeah.
So you're whipping around a corner and there's a
Yeah.
deer in the road, you're taking a life.
Yeah.
And if it's a bicyclist, it might
Yeah.
be him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It is a
but
great road, though.
yeah,
It's
it's
And
yeah.
the
great.
community is awesome. Even, I get there a handful of times each year from Denver and I run into people I know. Like, and that's the
Right.
coolest thing. It's such a special place. It's such a
My
cool
biggest
Yeah.
thing.
my biggest thing is I'm not a morning person. I'm like, can we
There's
do
that.
Well, and I think it's tough for Lara and I because we're like of the handful that come from Orange County.
Mm.
And so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a much longer proposition for us. Like
For
there's been
sure. For
times
sure.
where I've intended to go and I've told people I'm going and I get up and check the traffic, pre-dawn and it's already like 3 hours one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
There's
not
that.
always
Yeah.
feasible. But yeah, I mean,
However, Paul Kramer from Auto Kennel, he makes up every single week, so we have
I
no excuse.
know.
But he drives like a bat out of hell, and he's
Well, he
always
leaves so early.
yeah, and he's up at like 4 in the morning or whatever. We have to brush our hair.
We have other considerations.
Yeah. Some of us not so much.
But it is.
it's-
You're right, Ryan. When you get up there, you have the fun drive, and there's an element of like you get to the point where if you're
Yeah.
listening to, satellite or streaming radio or podcast or whatever, there's an area where there's no service, and so
Mm.
it does sort of it's very zen when you hit
Yeah.
that point,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
get up to Newcomb's, and yeah, I mean the group of people, it's just such a quality crowd, and so it's like it's worth it.
It is.
Yeah,
It
so
is. It
awesome.
is.
I've
It
I've
is.
been up probably 5 or 6 times, and it's just a great group of people.
Yeah.
It's and the air is fresh, and and
Yeah.
amazing cars go up there, and all the guys are bringing up their magazine cars and stuff. So that's really
Yeah.
cool. But
Yeah.
so I always tell people to go up there. If I was coming into the area, I'd absolutely make it up there. But you're spoiled because you're like, well, I can go any week. And then you
Yeah.
just,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsey, you're going to be in Denver on Friday,
I am.
and I want to show you a road that I think rivals Angeles Crest.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I don't know if you guys are going to have time, but
I think it sounds like we're going to make time.
okay.
I may have to slightly adjust the itinerary,
I
but
heard you're going to be in a good car, so
I will. Yeah, we'll stay tuned for what the car is. Stay tuned next week. Yeah, big week, big
Yeah.
adventure ahead.
Absolutely.
In many ways.
what happened this week? Did anything happen?
I got engaged this week.
There it is.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I was
We're
like,
so
I
happy for you.
leave for 7 weeks and I come back and she's taken. She's
Not
gone.
only is she dating someone, she's engaged. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our number one fan, Tori Alonso, and I are engaged.
Which is just awesome. It's
Yes.
just awesome.
We think so
Better
too.
watch his
Yeah.
P's and Q's with me.
Right? He's on notice. Yeah. Keep him on his toes.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't wait to meet him, and just thrilled for you. It's,
Yeah.
some
so
things
we're
just seem meant to be. Right?
I mean, quite literally. Like, nobody saw this coming, least of all us. But we're
Can I share the inscription,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think is so cool? Your engagement ring says what on the inside?
It says the perfect lap.
Come on.
Aww.
Yeah. Because one of
3 words.
One
So
of the
perfect.
things that we bonded over, because we've been friends for years, we just hadn't met. And one of the things that we connected on was a love of Ford versus Ferrari. Because Tori's a big movie guy, and he actually owned one of the 906s that they used in the movie.
Really?
Yeah. And then
You
he
get
sold
Tori
it.
on the show.
He's got some stories. He's owned several movie cars. He had
No
one of the
kidding.
original Herbies. And yeah, I mean, he's always been into that. And then actually the car is in Orange County now because a friend of ours, Connie Summers, bought it. And, Willow is my home track in California. And that's where I like one
Now
of the
it's
places.
Singer's home track.
Yes. So we had
right.
bonded over that, and just the scene where, Christian Bale, as Ken Miles, like talks Peter through, his son Peter through the lap. And it's ostensibly he's talking about driving the track, but you realize he's talking about life. And so that is one of the things that Tori said about me, is that I'm his perfect lap. So
Well,
he
let's see
managed
it.
to put it in the
And
ring.
he means,
see
he
it.
means her lap, like to sit on.
Yeah.
She's
That's it. There's
That's
so
right.
many.
There's
There's
that
just so
too.
many
Yeah.
applications.
he just
Can
likes
we
to
see
sit
it?
on her lap all the time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
weird.
Beautiful.
And like,
You wear it well.
inadvertent watch check. There
I
we
know.
go.
That's right. That's up. Sheffield watches. What's up, Jay?
Yeah, and my Sheffield watch. They go really well together.
Nice.
So there we go.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is damn near a show, but I don't think we're quite done.
I know. Well, Lara mentioned Singer with Willow, and
Yeah, that's-
Lara got to drive the Singer Turbo, so I want to hear about that.
Yeah, we love Singer.
Yeah, it was incredible. Deb called me and she's like,
Hi, Deb.
Hey.
how
love
would
Deb.
you feel about driving our turbo? And I was like, excuse me? I'm like,
Do you think it was a crank call?
I said, yeah.
Because it's like the one basically right now, right?
There's
Or maybe there's a handful, but
I don't know. You went to the facilities, right, Lindsey?
Yeah, I went when Avance had the Turbo is their newest model.
Okay.
So this is the one that you drove is like the company's Turbo.
Yeah, it's their press car basically, because
Yeah.
I mean everyone's had their way with it. And
but it's held up well.
Right.
yeah, it's incredible. I have to say those brakes are el touchy. They're very, very, very
You speak
strong.
Spanish too.
Quite a degree. It reminded me of being in the 930 Turbo because it had that power feel, obviously a bit more power, and just a complete smooth, just great drive, really, really awesome. And then the brakes are, it takes you a second because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, like you don't need to, I drive a 69, so it's like maybe we should tap those brakes a little bit more. But you get used to it and then you're going good. But it has like little modern features too, like it doesn't roll back,
Mm.
when you're putting it, everything is
Hill
very easy
assist or
to drive.
whatever.
It really feels like, I mean, bear with me, it's like a daily driver. Like it's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
easy to
yeah.
drive. And so, there I love that about it, and just knowing it's so expensive. I was
I
like, don't
know,
mess
I
up. It
know.
was traffic time when I got up there
God.
and I said, no, you're driving me out to where I'm going to drive it because I'm not
Yeah.
go through traffic in LA to get to it. So one of the guys took me out and it was
And
Who took you out? Oh, sorry, not to put you on the spot.
from Singer. Well, okay, so what is the
Let's
term
call him
of
Seamus.
right?
That's
Yeah, Seamus was there. Michael's the one that did the tour when I was there.
Ethan. Yeah.
But so, what is the term of start at? Did they tell you price
I
wise?
think I mean I'd have to look at I want to say it's between 750 and a million.
And that's if you
I mean,
can
yeah,
get
Yeah,
one.
I think it's a million. So yeah, you're just like I don't know, but I had a lot of fun with it, and Lee was with me, and he's like, I'm going to drive it, and I was like, "You're not." I really, I was, and he's a great driver. Like he would have
right,
had more fun than I would have in it. But it's just there's rules. But and just walking around that facility, what a treat!
Yeah.
Like that was
right.
another thing that was right before I left for France too, like days before, like 2 days before. So
Mm.
I was like, what is happening? It was a
Right.
very good spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was nice. Even in France, it was just beautiful. I arrived, it was like 75 degrees. I'm like, what is going on? So it was really, really beautiful. But the Singer facilities are next level, all white, just beautiful,
Yeah.
impeccably
It's
clean.
like a church. Like you walk in and you're just like, oh,
Yeah. And I'm like,
It,
can I take it? Like, so they're like, no pictures. And then
mm,
I'm like, she goes, well, we just do it because we don't want the customer's car to be in the background or whatever.
right.
Like,
sure,
You don't want to give away the surprise.
sure.
so she's like, well, you can take a picture of this and you can take a picture of this.
Yeah,
Well, I'm like,
yeah.
so I was just kind of like, getting a couple of pictures because I mean, I just walked up when I walked in. I'm like, and Lee goes, you literally, this is like her form of hell. Because if I can't photograph, and we've been in a couple situations like that where it's like a super private collection, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
mm,
You
yeah. I
realize
know it's
how
tough.
instinctive it is
Struggle's
to just
real.
start taking pictures and like,
yeah.
Yeah.
you're
The-
so,
Just because
yeah.
you want to even look at it yourself, and there's
I
been some,
know, I
they're
know.
like, you
Yeah,
can take it and look at it yourself. I'm like, I see it. I don't need to look
yeah.
at it later.
They
I
nailed
just
that
really
turbo
want to
though, and
share it.
I haven't driven it. I've only looked at it, right?
Yeah,
But
because
every
you got
angle
to
is
see it.
right. The
We both
accordion
got to see
bumper.
it in Seattle, right,
Yeah,
Ryan?
yeah, a couple places now, and it's so good. It's just so good. Like, you keep sort of walking around looking for like an awkward angle or something, and it just doesn't happen,
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it was so pretty, and it really like has that full retro feel, and
Mm-hmm.
but just those little modern touches that make you it just the ease of like because the 930, it's like you get in and you're like like
Yeah,
like adjusting and then this one is just like you glide in and you just feel a little
yeah,
You're
and
just
our
there.
cars is pimped. It's great.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's really great car, but it's it's really analog, and
Yeah.
this one is very analog, but at the same time there's little subtle things and you don't even realize till you get out and you go, oh my gosh,
Mm,
it doesn't roll back, right? And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, there's little added features that are great, and the handling, and just um I can't say enough about it. It was
nice.
a really
Yeah,
sweet car to drive, and
yeah,
just to feel like you're in an old car but you have that new car feel. So
yeah, yeah,
Right. Like all the creature comforts. I know
yeah.
I got to sit in it when it was here in Seattle because they did an event a couple weeks ago. And I thought even the interior was so much fun, like the
Yeah.
fabrics that they had chosen and the green and the plaid. And it's a very happy car. And I
yeah.
like the mix, the outside, it's kind of understated. And then you get in and it's very lively inside. And it's just
Mhm.
like, it really draws you in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
met the guy who does the interiors and everything, and then the people who pick the leathers, and the leathers have to be perfect, and you just go around and everything is just white glove. It's it's just it's really impressive because they went from like a little tiny, place in the valley, and then
Right.
they had to get another little place in the valley, and then they ended up with 6 places in the valley, and then now they have this big beautiful facility, and they're pretty much outgrowing that too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no shortage of demand for sure for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
cars. So
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
So I was talking to someone the other day, and we were trying to determine like what the next sort of car that should be reimagined is, right? So I know Singer has like a warehouse of 209 or whatever, but eventually they will run out, right? So what's the
They
like the
have them
next?
all.
Yeah, and they really do, Yeah, and I had my first 964 experience recently, and that was like the poster car for me driving or growing up. That was what I wanted to drive, and I was a little underwhelmed. So you know what? Reimagine them all. Like I'm okay with it.
Go
It's a
nuts.
Well, and
better
that
car
was
reimagined.
it was kind of the redheaded stepchild of, I hate saying that because that's, I have so many friends that are redheaded. Actually,
And
not all
And
stepchildren.
children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's such an inappropriate thing to say. Why would I say
it's a
that?
safe space.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
no one's hating me, right?
Right.
No one
But
listens.
when I'm so mad because when I was looking to buy, I ended up with the 997, but when I was looking to buy, there was just they were giving
Yeah,
964s
they
away.
really were. They were
And,
nothing.
that was the first car I drove. The first Porsche I drove was
Okay.
a 964 C2 Targa, which is actually what the car I drove that in Porsche Centrum Gelderland was the police car. What there were
Oh,
Targas.
right.
So they
Yeah.
had
Oh,
them
cool.
outside of their cars as well. So they were all Targas.
They could
But
stand up
so,
and hold that little sign, that little
yeah, but they're just very
practical.
easy to drive. They're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
very like
yeah,
soft shifting,
yeah,
easy cars, but they've really I think no one was upset about them taking the 964s
yeah,
because
yeah.
it
So,
was yeah.
so I think the next car that should be reimagined is the Mercedes R107. So like the one up there, like the SL. So like what is that? The 71 through 89 or whatever SL? Because
Oh,
there are a million of them, maybe
Oh
10
yeah.
million of them. I know it's not quite the sports car the 964 purports to be, but
what would you want to do to it?
I feel like it's got a lot of potential, right? They're everywhere. They're cheap. They're actually
Mm,
still cheap, right?
sure.
I think that they're more power could be made. Everything that Singer does to their cars, right? Do them to
Like
these.
give that treatment to those.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what other car did they make a bunch of that kind of unloved, still can be found for nothing. But maybe this isn't it. Maybe there's something else.
Oh, there was one I was thinking of, and it's a great car. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
but
Porsche?
yeah, you find those and you're like, how come this isn't worth more? Like, why is
yeah,
this?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Or it's
even
like a
Dino,
sleeper.
the Dino was like, I remember looking in the newspaper, the
Yeah.
classifieds, and they were going for like $40,000 way back and like the 90s. And then all of a sudden they're worth all
Yep.
this money. I'm like, but it's the poor man's Ferrari,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I had a friend who had one, and they ripped around. And I was like, whatever. Like, and now they're like this big
I
deal. And
know.
I mean, Ferraris, I don't even feel like I fit in Ferraris. It's a weird thing.
You don't fit in Ferraris.
I'm not that tall, but I have a long torso, and
You say
I have
doesn't work.
I like the GT the three my friend used to have a 328 GTS. She was
Mhm.
like 23 years old. I was like 25,
Really?
and her husband was 27, and it got a bunch of money from his dad, and he was buying Ferraris and Ferraris and Ferraris, and she hated cars. And so he'd go,
You're like,
Lara,
come on.
I bought her something. And I'd be like, oh my God. And she's like, oh, she got an SL. She got a 600 SL when they
Oh
first came
wow.
out.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you thinking? She thought he got her a gym, like a workout gym for their house. And she walks up and she's like, oh my God. He's like, bring Laura, bring Laura. And she goes,
I
it's
promise
okay.
she'll make it better.
She was a little dyslexic and she goes, it's okay. It was only $20,000. I go, no, I think they're like 120,000.
No.
What are you talking about? She
But
was,
that's another one. Those R129s, we should all be buying those up, right? I mean, they'll never be cheaper. It's a V12, that's 600,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it drove like a truck. It was like, you know, it, but we got in she had it had 9,000 miles on it. She never drove it. She had a little 328 GTS. And I was like, let's take the Ferrari out, and she's like, Lara, you don't even understand. And she was blonde. I was like this color hair. And she's like, you don't understand. Like the looks I get, it's
Mm,
horrible.
it's
And
rough.
so we get out and I'm like, And the windshield kind of comes to here. So you're like, I'm like, this is so
Which is
weird.
Poor
funny
Tom
because
Selleck.
Yeah.
right, like you look at it and you go, yeah, like we're not crazy tall, but like when I
Yeah,
drove the
yeah.
308, same thing where I'm like,
It's
boy,
the
we're kind
same
of at the
body.
limit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same body. So
yeah.
I get in and this guy looks over and like this and I look over and he goes, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I go, it's her car. It's her car. And he's like, no, like whatever it was,
Yeah.
like, I mean, we
Lara,
should have been in that car. So
I just drove my first 355 a couple weeks ago, and it had like Sparko buckets, which did not help me. I'm 6'4" and like 250, and also long in torso, and I just looked so silly. I looked like an ape driving that thing. It was just not good, and I wanted to love it, and it drove well, but I couldn't even get comfortable enough to drive it as it should be
yeah,
driven.
That
You know, I
takes
was
away from the
really
driving
I think they're
experience.
for like
like that.
littler people, like jockeys, like
Yeah.
because, um,
Italians.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what it is. But, like they're not, I fit clothing, so like
Oh, okay. That's,
I'm always like, we need a
yeah,
little inch here, a little
yeah,
takeoff here,
yeah.
we're gonna raise the neckline, whatever. And so I feel like they need a fit model for
Right.
But any Porsche, it doesn't matter which Porsche I can fit in. 914, 924, 928
Huh.
fits me just fine. So I guess they're
I
my
mean,
people.
they say what you want about Porsche. I
Yeah.
mean, recently Supercar Blondie was like, it doesn't do it for me, and I'm like,
What?
I know. I was like, respectfully.
Right.
Well, some of us are drivers.
I just yeah, I think like she gets a lot of grief because I mean, any girl who's just going to be, I mean, a lot of those cars don't even have engines in them, like they don't have motors because they're just honestly
They're rollers.
they're
Yeah.
rollers,
Yeah.
yeah. So people are like, she doesn't even drive it. It's like, well, you can
Sometimes she can't.
Yeah.
no one can.
Right.
But she's done very well for herself, so
Yes,
there's no shade
absolutely.
on her. And people would be like, I think you're better than her. I go, well, about 10 million people don't think so. So yeah.
But at the same time, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
What's the secret for social media success in your eyes? Like what's
I have no idea. I mean,
when did it click for you? Like when did you see that counter going like it was a slot machine, like it was just
it
you
never
hit
did
the
that.
jackpot.
It was in the beginning before Meta took over, and
Yeah.
and everyone will complain about when Meta took over.
Yeah.
I actually was just on the phone with Meta the other day because they call me here and again.
They've got a phone number?
Yeah, I actually do.
Top
I'll send
secret,
you what they send me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they send you like tips and tricks or whatever.
Uh,
They want you to post like 3 times a day and put words on the title. I go, I'm not going to lose my aesthetic. I'm sorry. I'll have less followers because the people who follow me are generally older. They're elegant and understated. I don't know, but they
It's a
don't really,
classy crowd.
they don't want like
it's our
crazy.
demographic, yeah.
Yeah,
Love
I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to veer away from who I am either,
Sure.
and I'm very picky about like brands that I work with because sometimes the brand is just not elevated enough, or or they want me to put like spinner rims on the cars or something, and they're like, "We'll pay you $1 billion." They actually offered me one of those. I don't know what those cars are that they're like a motorcycle, but it's a weird car, and it
Not a
looks.
Morgan.
No, it's like starts with an S, doesn't it?
It's some sort of like sidekick or whatever.
Oh, okay.
They were like, we'll give it to you for a year. And
Right.
I was like, I can't do it. Like I will be laughed off. And then it was a marketing agency and they were like, yeah, we figured it was a long shot. I was like, I mean, I'm a classic car girl. Like people would just be like, you've sold out. You can't do it. So I have to be really careful with what I do as well. So, when the growth came, it was kind of out of the gate. Bart Kirkins, who is a photographer he was doing a book, the book series, Flat Six Love Affair. I have it somewhere here.
I love Bart. Hi, Bart.
Yeah, I was like 2 days into my Instagram and he goes, "Hey, you want to do a shoot?" And I go, "Here it goes." I was like, and then some other guy did it too. And I was like, oh, like trying to be nice. I'm never like, shut up,
Yeah.
And the other guy unfollowed me because he's like, I figured you were just getting too popular. And I go, well, that's sad. I was like, that's mean. And
Isn't
then
that the goal, sir?
Yeah.
For all of us.
followed him too. I was like, well, unfollow. And then I forget who he was, but he was some guy who obviously had his own issues to deal with. But Bart was like, hey,
Okay.
you know, he's like, let's do some photographs. And after that, it kind of put me on the map. And then Porsche took notice, and then they did a story on me. It's somewhere here too. They did a story on me, and they titled it Lara's World, which
Oh, come on.
I was like, I go, if I was gonna write the title, I would have, I wouldn't even have ever
That's epic.
suggested that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thank you so much. So it was for Christoph Rust magazine. I think.
Amazing.
Yeah. So is this it? No, this is a new one. This isn't mine. This is the new one. Anyway, they're everywhere. But so it just started growing, and at that time you could see your growth, how it was going to grow. Like
Sure.
I would go by August, I'm going to have 20,000, and by August I'd be off by like 100. You know, it was like 100 up, 100 down, or whatever. Yeah. And then it just was like it kind of fell off a cliff, and I was like, what's going on? And then I got something that went viral. After they put me in jail for a second, I forget why. Somebody probably did something, and I was like, I can't. I mean, I was getting like 100, 150 a day. Like it was just like whatever. And some of them were bots because like it's not, you're not buying it. They're just the bots.
Yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
Or like, and then they clean house. And so you get like, you know, they drop off whatever. Yeah. But because the bots are such a part of Instagram, it kind of pisses you off. But I'm like, whatever, it's a number, you know.
Right.
And then Meta took over, and it just went to absolute shit. And I was like, I've been complaining, and suddenly I'm getting another little boost. So, but when I got I had one go several million, like 4 million, and I got 8,000 because I just said I hit 50,000, and then I got 8,000 in a month. And I was like, oh my God, now I look like I bought followers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd wake up and it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, I got like 200 followers. Or whatever. I'm like, oh no, I had got 2,200 followers. I mean, it was so insane. And Porsche put me on a couple times, and I would get 2,000 followers.
Okay.
And
yep.
So anyway, they unfollowed me recently.
Get out.
They went on a little unfollowing
unfollowed
spree.
you?
They unfollowed. No, everyone's complaining about it. But they've unfollowed. Like I'm talking this big game. Like and then Porsche followed me, and then I looked and they unfollowed all like their drivers. Like I was like, okay, somebody who doesn't know anything about.
That was a glitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, at least I'm in good company. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, they need to get their act together.
Interesting.
It keeps
or
it
I need to be
right?
German.
Yeah.
What?
It keeps it interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. It's always
you just never know.
Is the real takeaway is it's always a struggle, you know.
Yeah.
But I was accidental. It's I didn't think it was gonna go crazy, and it really isn't that. I mean, like so many people like 1 million followers or whatever, but now a lot of people buy their followers, and it's, you're just in a sea of hoping to stand out in a sea of like the liars and the real people.
Yeah.
So it happens, but
maybe in a weird way, this sort of brings it back to where it was, right? Like kind of the real deal people, right? The people who are really creating quality content, right? Who the drivers, right?
Well, my boyfriend always says, just stay consistent, and enough of the things of like the trips I've taken and the places I've been in the events that I've done. There's a consistency, and so I think that's what is, and there's an authenticity of that. So, and I do try to just stay in my lane, keep my eyes on my own plate, and then at the end of the day, there's going to be new and younger, stronger, faster, richer people that come along.
Well, what a pleasure talking with you. We definitely have to do a part two. I almost said part two.
Part two.
Could just be the whiskey talking. But this was fun, and hope you get to visit Colorado sometime. And like Lindsey will be doing on Friday.
Right? Yeah. We'll have to make the pilgrimage. I know.
Heading to my dad's tomorrow for we sold his house, so I'm going to
not Colorado.
2 days ago, I'm on the plane again, and I hate to fly, but
can't stay away. I know.
Wait, that Porsche girl hates to fly?
I hate to fly.
She's a driver.
That's right.
I don't know if you like. I have obviously control issues, so I have.
All
It's
Porsche drivers do. Yeah.
I'm known as being the worst passenger. Johnny Lieberman is the first to say that because he took me out on GT3 and I was like, and again, not controlled road,
Yeah.
like Angeles Crest. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be, and it wasn't anything on his driving. It was just like if we come around the corner and
Yeah.
there's a motorcycle on the ground, I'm
Yeah.
always, that's why I'm a precision driver. I'm always like, what can happen? And they're like, I don't care what happens. So there's people who are like that, and then
Yeah.
there's people like me who are like, give me a controlled environment or some walkie-talkies so I know nothing's around that corner and I'm going
Yeah.
to come flying around it. But
Right.
yeah,
Which we
so
didn't even get to talk about, like the movies you've been in and the people you've doubled for, the television spots you've done. So definitely please
Well,
come
you'll
back.
have to come back. Yeah.
yeah,
I
for
know.
sure.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. We're
Thanks
That
for
Car
having me.
Show, and remember to always be driving, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Lara.
Bye.